So tonight we're gonna do a little overview of a Mac Tools Air Mini Die Grinder. 90-degree version. Straight versions are the same, except your head up here is a little bit different. So let's get at it. I've already taken this apart and cleaned it up. I bought it used for parts, not working, so good price. Thought it'd be fun to take it apart and dissect it and see what's interesting about it and what stands out compared to a cheap version. So here we go. First thing that stood out to me was there's no air relay, or there's no screen in your inlet port here. I see a lot of other manufacturers have kind of a screen mesh type plug that fits in here. Keep your large debris like that piece of Teflon out of your air system, airstream. Yeah, thought that was interesting how this one didn't have it. Up here you got your collet head, standard black oxide, nicely finished. Your collet body in here. Take this apart. This uses a left and a right hand thread in this, so that way you can suck it all together. Just a little chromed steel part. Looking in here, you have your angle head, a little hole for your oiler, so you can stick an oil in the head. In here, to retain the head on here, it's just held in by tension with a little threaded cap. I made a little tool to get that out. Like I said, works out great. I didn't want to buy one. So if you unscrew this, it would be counterclockwise, or left-hand threads. Spinning clockwise to get it off. Pull that out. You have your little shaft assembly. You got a shielded bearing up here, smaller one, larger shielded bearing down here. You have a spiral cut bevel gear up here, very nicely done. It's all machined. You can see the machining marks on the side, the machining marks in there, on the bottom. Just kind of a little slip fit in with the key in there. It's a little Woodruff key. That was actually the reason why it wasn't working. I think someone had taken it apart and lost the Woodruff key, and hence why it didn't work. But black oxide coating and all this stuff, pretty standard. It keeps rust off, makes it look nice. All this stuff's very nicely machined, very fine surface finish, not coarse. Get a nice flat in there for the wrench. Oxide the shaft except for where the gear sits. Nicely cast aluminum head, very light, very strong. You can see the oil port in there. See a little bit of the casting line, but they cleaned it up really nice. Aside from that, turned here, turn surface here, your air outlet port, and your venting down here for your air to escape, all turned in there. Going over to the main body, have another little collar. Pop that off. You can pull out your rotor assembly. Got a nice fit. You heard that pop as it came out. Quite good tolerances. Shielded bearing back here and a cast back cap. Now they've done a little bit of machining in here. You can see a little bit of tool marks there. Your air input goes through your vanes, comes out over here on the other side, cools off the rotor. Rotor seems to have a very nice surface finish. Camera won't pick it up well, but in the phenolic resin vanes in here, there seems to be like some stamped metal or something along that line to add rigidity to those vanes and probably, better wear resistance. Simple steel liner, probably hardened. Little pin to keep that assembly from twisting. It's all just held together by the shafts. So you press that out, this whole assembly would come out, and you could, swap out your vanes if you needed to, if they were warm. Aluminum here, doesn't need to be steel. Threaded collar cap. Again, very nicely machined. Spiral bevel gear. You can see the tool marks even in there still. Held up very well. I mean, it has some use, as you can see by the casing, but I don't think it's been used terribly hard. But still, it lived a rough life. There was a lot of grime and garbage inside. The main difference between your straight die grinders and your 90-degree die grinders is all up here, and this is all the same, but this collar would be different, as you see the flat in here. So you would replace that with a different collar and you would have a straight die grinder. Everything spins very nicely. Stuff isn't even very well aligned right now either, but it spins very smoothly. Your vanes fly out and seal your surface. Going into the body, again, cast aluminum, heavy duty, nice grooving. I've gotten rid of all your parting lines from the mold halves. Stamped steel lever here. Get a nice spring action to it. Nice resistance. Roll pin, set it in there. A little brass insert in there to help protect against wear with that plunger. In here you can see where, can't do it very well, but you can see how that little valve rotates, and you can open or close your airflow based upon how much you want your RPM to be with this little brass center set screw, I guess, of sorts. You can see inside here, again, nicely machined bore, nicely machined back surface, your air inlet all the way back there. Pulling this apart, this just unscrews again. Pull this assembly out. You have this little chromed back cap, O-ring and a little brass. Help seal, lubricate it a little bit with the oil. Won't rust up. Regulates your airflow. And in here, you got a little spring plunger. Pull this out. There's another brass seat in there that this sits up against. But again, you have a little, I guess, plunger of sorts for that lever to ride on. Nice stiff spring. Nice responsive action. Didn't lose it, surprisingly. Nice stiff action. O-ring in there. Lets the air pass. The air that plunger will come down, the air will pass up around there, and then into your main chamber. Black oxide again. This is probably hardened steel. Nice surface finish. And yeah, that's pretty well it. Very nice tool overall. I mean, you have your machined, spiral bevel gears in here. Much unlike, powdered sintered metal for, your cheaper variants. Everything, the fit and finish of all this stuff is very nice. Everything fits together really well. Super easy to replace if you ever, have a O-ring blowout and you're blowing air out of your, handle. I mean, easy to replace the O-ring and just pop this assembly out, and you can replace those O-rings. Your head's very serviceable. Pull off all your bearings if you need to. And again, the only thing that was wrong with this one was it was dirty and it was missing the woodruff key. But yeah, that's about it. I think they had probably some bearing retaining compound in here. It was green, or I guess it could be just another flavor of, blue Loctite of sorts, just to keep the air from leaking out around your spiral leakage path in the root of your threads. But aside from that, pretty bulletproof grinder, super high quality, and would definitely recommend.